back. If you haven't previously heard, Nyantakyi is up there in the trends on Twitter. He is up in the news. The Ghana Football Association's president. I've been joined this morning by the head of sports here at Media General and celebrated sports journalist Michael Otieji. He's joined me. He's smiling to that. Mike, how are you doing? Good to have you.
I'm well. How are you?
How's the Wednesday morning? I'm fine. How's the Wednesday morning going so far?
It's been good. It's been a lot of shade. I hear radio stations playing different songs. Everybody just seems to be, it's almost like, nobody expected this to happen. And a lot of the reaction was between elation, shock, but also this morning we've had a lot of legal perspective that seems to be putting, a bit of a dampener on what was really yesterday sometimes an euphoric reaction to this.
What are the facts? What facts do we know? Because there seems to be different sides to the story. As I've heard the media trumpet, social media has been awash with it. You broke the story yesterday here. What do we know to be the facts?
Well, I think it's fairly simple. The Deputy Chief of Staff, Jinapor, did say in that press briefing that he gave briefly that essentially the President has reported a case of an attempt by Mr. Nyantakyi, he says, to use his name to defraud people. So that's defrauding by false pretense. Also use his name to peddle influence. And that this comes off the back of a video in which of Anansi's expose on football called number 12 that will be screened on 12 June, in which the president of the GFA apparently is saying to potential investors that he will be able to influence decisions at the highest level if those potential investors part with a certain amount of money that will be paid to the president, the vice president, and other dignitaries at the highest level of government. The president saw the video. I think normally Anansi's video gets to be seen by the first gentleman of the land. Have been told as well that a number of ex-presidents have seen it, and the president decided that it was time to act and act pretty quickly.
Did the president jump the gun? I'm asking this based on public opinion as well, that he jumped the gun perhaps because everybody has not seen it. We are not all on the same page with him, and he's put this directive out. Did he jump the gun?
Well, I can only guess. Listen, if he's seen the video, he's seen the video. He's not the only one who's seen the video.
Right.
I think a number of other people who have seen the video maybe not affected enough to want to take action, not empowered enough to be able to do that. Remember, Jinapor was keen to point out in that briefing yesterday that the president had done what his civic responsibilities allows him to do, which is to say to the CID, somebody's using my name to do A, B, C, D. You've got to investigate. So he's basically suggesting that if I felt the same way about something, I could make the same suggestion. So there's been a suggestion that this is not simply because he's president. Obviously, me and you know that if I went to the CID to report a case, it's not the same as the president saying to the CID.
Doesn't put the same weight on it.
Not at all. It's possible that he even will call the CID boss and say, come to the office.
Right.
So it's just the dynamics of it. But I think whatever it is, it's fairly simple. There's something grave on that video. It's something grave that speaks to something that has happened over a long period in terms of the way football is run in the country, in terms of the relationship with sporting officials, in terms of the way, I think, for the president as a larger picture, and something he's complained about previously in the past, how people use the name of the presidency to engage in the sort of illegal activities that they engage in. So for the president, this will not be just going at a football man, if there's anything like that. This will be addressing a larger issue that's been of big concern to the presidency.
Akufo-Addo, who's been mentoring Anas for the whole of his career, says this will shake the foundation of football administration in this country. Prior to the showing of the video, we've seen some key sports administrators say we have done nothing wrong, and in fact, if we have, we will apologize and all of that. What are the repercussions first for Nyantakyi, and then we'll look at Ghana football?
I think Akufo-Addo captures it perfectly, that it will shake the very foundations of Ghana football. I also think that it will vindicate, and people don't want to hear this, but it will vindicate the likes of Kwabena Yeboah, who consistently speaks about bribery in Ghana football. He's said it at almost every major function that he's had the opportunity, that the game is rotten and the decisions are based on who is able to pay. People like him will be vindicated. People like Countryman Songo, who consistently talk about Sikadie.
Right, Basa.
Yes, it will vindicate those people who say that when sponsorship is gained, people use illegal means to take off percentages in the name of agencies. It will vindicate those people. It will vindicate people like Dan Kwekuyewa, who have consistently insisted that the level of corruption in Ghana football under Nyantakyi is too grave.
Right.
The bottom line is that it will change. I don't know whether change is a big word, but in the interim, it will change the leadership of the Ghana Football Association, because it will touch a number of people, Mr. Nyantakyi himself, those close to Mr. Nyantakyi, and a few people, and it will cause quite, I hope from beyond that, it will cause a certain attitude that allows people to pause a bit and think about the public good.
Will it win back the love that the GFA had, that the Premier League, for example, had? Would it bring back that love necessarily?
I don't necessarily think so. It will be a bit like the Brazil debacle. It will convince people that this is a rotten sector. I've been saying the whole of the morning that you've got to think of this in the same way you would have thought of Anas's expose into the judiciary, into SEPs, into the biscuit issue, into Osu children. So, did we all know that sometimes when we donate to charities, to orphanages, those who run the orphanages
it gets into private pockets? Didn't
we suspect that there would have been issues of sometimes corruption in the judiciary? We knew. We didn't have the power to deal with that. Didn't we know that we've all had issues to deal with the port and everything, and we've known some of the things that goes on there. What Anas has done in all those cases is that he's provided compelling evidence. When in the past people have suggested that Ghana football is rotten, that there's been a lot of bribery and the rest, Mr. Nyantakyi has asked for evidence. On one occasion, he himself and Ibrahim Sanidara, his communication spokesman, said they are more than willing to engage Anas to see through this. The suggestion has been that Mr. Nyantakyi had nothing to hide. There was absolutely nothing to hide. Anas has provided what he says and what people around him say is irrefutable evidence of the rot, the corruption, not just among the lower ranks of Ghana football, but at the very highest level of it. And that means that obviously it's never really about whether heads rule. It's about the way I say that if this forces people to pause for a second and think before, when the league gets sponsorship, they take off a certain percentage and put it into an agency and share it among themselves. When these are people who are supposed to be the same ones putting money into the league, then it's for the benefit of everybody. It's for the benefit of everybody that monies acquired through football goes to football. I've always said that it's completely wrong for anybody to suggest that if you, through your efforts, gain $20 million for the Ghana Football Association, you deserve a cut of that money. That's how the system shows.
That's okay.
But if you are in a privileged position where I bring an idea and I say, okay, this is the sponsorship, and all of a sudden you form an agency because you've really not done anything, that creates a problem. It's an abuse of the system that's gone on for long. And I hope that's something that the announcement.
Mr. Nyantakyi, in an interview I saw your team, do an old interview. He's on tape to have said that, look, the money is not for the government. The money is not for anybody else. The money is for the GFA. How they choose to spend it is their own business. Why must we be worried about it?
Well, I think that position ignores a lot of things. In that instance, he was talking about the decision by the Ghana Football Association to pay ex gratia of $15,000 to about, I think it was 23 executive committee members. That was a lot of money at the time when they've not been able to pay referees and the rest. So it's a myriad of issues. You could argue as well, and I could argue very simply, where does the money come from? It may be the GFA's money, but this money, part of the means of acquiring this money through sponsorship, through matches and the rest, is that you use a property called the Black Stars. The Black Stars does not belong to the GFA. The Black Stars belongs to the people of Ghana. When the Black Stars are going to play a game, they don't pay for the Accra Sports Stadium. When the Black Stars are going to play a game, as they were going to play in the World Cup, they need a government to advance in the crudest of manners $3 million to pay players because we didn't want national embarrassment. So the money may be, your money may sit with you, but the process of acquiring that money draws in the whole country. Mr. Nyantakyi could never go to anybody and say, give me $1 million. I am going to play football with my friends. Nobody will give you.
Of course, nobody
will. Mr. Nyantakyi can go to somebody and say, this national team represents Ghana. it has the support of 25 million Ghanaians. These 25 million Ghanaians would ensure that if you put your $2 million in this team, you've got better name record, you've got better brand association. Because people love the team, they are likely to love your product as well. Okay. How do you say that is your money necessarily?
Mike, I thank you very much. Does this put the nail in the coffin of Mr. Nyantakyi and maybe a bye-bye to him from football administration?
He survived a lot of scandals. I will be surprised if he survives this. But he's a strong man. He knows how to fight his way through this. We've not seen the last.
The public uproar has been massive this time around.
He's used to all this. The World Cup was worse. You have to think about the people around him rather. The family, his wife, his kids, his parents, his sisters, how they would think and the difficulties they will be having in this moment. But he himself, after the difficulties of yesterday, will wake up this morning more than determined to fight this through. So it will not. We've not seen the last of this. We'll see a lot of legal issues, and we'll see potentially a lot of more other deep issues before it finally comes.
Thank you. Michael Otije is head of sports here at Media General and is also a celebrated sports journalist. Later at midday, we will give you some more details and on News 360 as well, plus Sports Unlimited. So stay with us. We broke the story first, and we'll share the details with you as we find them as we go along. There's more here on New Day. We'll be right back.